Have you ever looked back at your life and wondered how you survived certain seasons, moments that should have broken you? Battles you were never prepared to fight, pressures that felt heavier than your strength, and yet, somehow, you are still here. There are victories we celebrate, and there are victories we barely speak about, because only God knows how close we came to falling. This prayer is for the soul that remembers the storm, the fear, the nights filled with uncertainty, and still whispers, God, you carried me. Stay with me until the end, because this psalm reveals what happens when God becomes your strength in the middle of chaos. Welcome to Daily Prayer, your moment to breathe, reflect, and reconnect with God. Take a slow breath, let the noise of the day fade. This is not a place of rush or performance. This is a sacred pause, where gratitude rises gently and faith finds its voice again. If this moment nourishes your spirit, allow yourself to like and turn on notifications, so this place of prayer is always waiting when your heart needs refuge. Psalm 18 is not a prayer spoken before the battle. It is a song born after survival, a testimony shaped by danger, fear, and divine rescue. David speaks as someone who knows what it is to be hunted, opposed, surrounded by forces stronger than himself. He knows what it means to live under constant threat, never certain if tomorrow will come in peace. Yet the first words that rise from his heart are not fear, anger, or bitterness. They are love. Love for a God who became his refuge when there was nowhere else to run. Love for a God who stood firm when everything else felt unstable. Love for a God who proved that strength does not come from weapons, position, or human power, but from divine presence. David does not describe God as distant or abstract. He speaks of God as his safe place, his shield, his stronghold, his deliverer. These are not poetic metaphors. They are survival memories. Each word carries the weight of lived experience. Maybe today you can relate. You may not call it a battlefield, but you know what pressure feels like. You know what it is to be overwhelmed, to feel pursued by problems, fear, anxiety, or opposition. You know what it is to feel like escape is impossible and strength is running out. And still, you are here. This psalm invites you to recognize something powerful. Survival is not coincidence. The strength that kept you standing did not come from within alone. There were moments when your own strength was insufficient, and something greater held you up. Before David speaks of victory, he remembers the fear. Before he celebrates triumph, he acknowledges vulnerability. Because real gratitude is born from honesty, from remembering where God met us, not when we were strong, but when we were desperate. As this prayer continues, we will descend into the depths of that desperation, into the moments when fear closed in and hope felt fragile. But we will also witness what happens when a sincere cry reaches heaven, "Stay with me." What comes next takes us into the heart of the storm and reveals how God responds when his children call out from the depths. The memory now moves deeper into the heart of the storm itself. David does not romanticize the danger he faced. He remembers how fear surrounded him like rising waters, how pressure closed in from every side, how it felt as if life itself was tightening its grip. There were moments when death did not feel distant, but close enough to touch. Moments when escape seemed impossible and survival uncertain. This is not unfamiliar territory for the human soul. There are seasons when problems come all at once, when anxiety piles up, when threats are not always visible, but deeply felt, when the weight of fear presses so heavily that even breathing feels difficult, when the night stretches long and the mind cannot rest. David remembers being there. He describes a place where danger felt relentless, where fear spoke louder than hope, where the soul felt trapped and overwhelmed. He does not pretend he was brave. He does not claim he was unshaken. He admits that the pressure was real and the threat was powerful. And maybe today, this feels personal to you. Perhaps you are not running from enemies with weapons, but from worries that never sleep, from battles inside your mind, from situations that feel beyond your control, from seasons where the weight of responsibility, loss, injustice, or uncertainty has made you feel surrounded. David teaches us something crucial here. Faith does not deny fear. It chooses where to take it. Instead of collapsing under the pressure, David cries out, not calmly, not carefully, but urgently, desperately, from the depths of his soul. When strength failed, prayer did not. This is where the psalm becomes deeply comforting, because David's cry does not disappear into silence. It does not echo into emptiness. It reaches God. God hears him, not because the prayer was elegant, not because David had the right words, but because the cry was real, because the heart was honest, because the need was undeniable. There is a powerful truth here for anyone who feels exhausted by prayer. When your prayer feels broken, God hears. When your voice trembles, God hears. When your words come out in fragments, God hears. God is not moved by perfection. He is moved by sincerity. David understands that help did not come because he was strong, but because God is attentive, because God listens when his children cry out from the depths, because no fear, no darkness, no chaos is too loud to drown out a sincere prayer. Let this truth rest gently in your heart. You are not ignored. You are not unseen. Your cries do not go unnoticed. Even when it feels like heaven is silent, God is listening. And when God responds, the story changes. The psalm begins to shift here, from fear to movement, from stillness to action. Because when God rises, everything that once felt immovable begins to tremble. Stay with me. What comes next reveals what happens when God steps into the chaos, and how divine intervention transforms fear into rescue. Something changes in the atmosphere of this prayer. The fear has not disappeared yet, but it no longer dominates the story. David's voice begins to carry a different weight, not because the danger is gone, but because God has entered the scene. This is the turning point. David remembers that when God responded, it was not passive, it was not distant, it was not delayed beyond purpose. God did not simply observe the chaos, he moved into it. And when God moves, nothing remains untouched. What once felt immovable began to shake. What once felt permanent began to break. What once felt overwhelming began to lose its power. David understands that the rescue did not come from his own effort. He did not climb out of the depths by strength or strategy. He was lifted, reached for, pulled out by a hand far stronger than his own. This is a truth many souls carry quietly. There are moments in life when you know deep inside that what saved you was not your intelligence, not your endurance, not your resilience. It was God stepping in when you could not take another step. God intervening when your strength had reached its limit. David remembers being taken out of overwhelming waters, out of danger that was stronger than him, out of a situation that should have ended him. He remembers that the enemy was powerful, relentless, and determined, yet powerless before God. And this realization changes everything, because when God intervenes, the narrative shifts from survival to freedom. David is not just rescued from danger, he is brought into space, into relief, into breath, into a place where fear no longer presses on every side. This is what God does. He does not rescue you only to leave you anxious. He does not pull you out only to keep you confined. He brings you into a wide place, a place where your soul can breathe again. David understands that this rescue was not accidental. It was intentional. It was personal. It was an act of love. God did not save him because he earned it. God did not save him because he was flawless. God saved him because he loved him. Let this truth rest deeply within you. Your rescue was not random. Your survival was not luck. Your continued strength is not coincidence. There were moments when God shielded you from what you never even saw. Moments when danger came close, but never reached you. Moments when the outcome could have been different, but wasn't. And as David reflects on this, gratitude begins to rise. Not shallow gratitude, but reverent recognition, the kind that understands. I am here today because God intervened, but the prayer does not stop at rescue. David begins to realize that God does more than deliver. God strengthens, God equips, God transforms the rescued into the empowered, the survivor into the warrior, the shaken into the steady. What comes next is not just about being saved, it is about being rebuilt. Stay with me. The final part reveals how God turns rescue into strength and deliverance into lasting victory. Now the prayer reaches its quiet conclusion, not with noise, but with certainty. David stands on the other side of the storm, not boasting, not seeking recognition, but fully aware of one truth. Everything he overcame was sustained by God. What once threatened him no longer defines him. What once tried to destroy him now stands as proof of divine faithfulness. He understands that God did not only rescue him in a moment of danger, God reshaped him through the journey. Strength replaced fear. Stability replaced chaos. Confidence replaced trembling, not because David became greater, but because God remained faithful. There is a sacred humility in this realization. David does not glorify the battle. He glorifies the one who carried him through it. He recognizes that every step forward, every victory, every ounce of endurance was possible only because God gave him strength when his own was not enough. When his path felt unstable, God made it firm. When obstacles stood tall, God enabled him to rise above them. And this truth speaks gently to us. If you are stronger today than you were before, if you have survived seasons that once terrified you, if you carry wisdom, resilience, and faith that were forged through pain, that strength did not come from nowhere. God trains the hands of those he rescues. God strengthens the hearts of those he protects. God transforms survival into testimony. David understands that victory is not about overpowering others, but about standing firm without losing the soul. His life becomes a living witness, not to his own greatness, but to God's unwavering presence. What once chased him now lies behind him. What once threatened him no longer controls him. What once defined his fear now magnifies God's faithfulness. And so the prayer settles into gratitude. Not gratitude because life became easy, but gratitude because God proved himself trustworthy. This is the resting place of Psalm 18, a place where fear no longer speaks the loudest, where the past no longer holds power, where the heart rests in the assurance that God delivers, strengthens, and sustains. Take a moment now. Look back at your own journey. Remember the moments when you felt overwhelmed. Recall the nights when you didn't know how you would endure, and recognize this truth. You are here because God was there. If today you can say, "I should not have made it through that, but I did," then this prayer belongs to you. Let gratitude rise gently in your heart. Let faith settle where fear once lived. Let peace replace the weight you've been carrying. If this prayer spoke to your soul, share it with someone who needs to remember that God still delivers, still strengthens, and still fights for his people. And remember, daily prayer is always here for you, a quiet refuge when your heart needs reassurance, faith, and hope. May your spirit rest tonight knowing that God is your refuge, your strength, and your deliverer yesterday, today, and forever.